Good morning, everybody. This is Christopher McBride. Just wanted to do a quick little video talking about what I actually do, which is provide personal coaching. I help millennial men damage relationships with their fathers. I also help them unpack their emotional trauma. And then lastly, I help them control their anger, ego, and pride by a series of different proven strategies to actually unpack that trauma, lead to internal peace, a more sense of enriched self-image, and then also a greater sense of self-control. So that is, for the most part, a lot of the different work that I do. What got me started in this particular work is really just me being in a lot of pain myself and trying to figure out how to actually get out of the pain. Me trying to get uh, internal peace, me trying to figure out how to feel comfortable within my own skin, feel at peace within my own skin. As far as the mending damage relationships with fathers, that was one of the biggest things for me. I realized that I had a lot of anger stored up in my father from when I was younger, and when I got older, I started to realize that everything that I hated about my father, or everything that I disliked about my father, I was slowly becoming. So I had to realize what you become, what you resent. So that set me on my journey of trying to purify my heart and kind of get all of those negative emotions out of my heart towards my father, because I'm like, all right, this is all affecting me. And the funny thing is that once we started on the healing journey, I realized how much misconceptions I actually had in my mind. One of the books that's out in the living room where my library is, it basically is the memory illusion, and it talks about how a lot of the memories that we have stored up from our childhood are not entirely accurate, because when emotions get heightened, we can start to distort a lot of different things. So we can go a lot of times with a certain belief that things happen a certain type of way, and therefore it makes us feel a certain type of way about a person. But then once we really analyze and reflect and go back and really review accurately and objectively what happened in that particular situation, we realize that it didn't happen the way that we remembered it happening. And so once we do that and we can actually learn what actually happened, then it gives us time to have grace towards people, and allows us to be in a space where we can forgive a little bit. Because if not, we're just going to hold that inside of us, and then next thing you know, we're going to just explode on people, or it's going to transfer to the people that we love. And with me having a son on the way, I definitely didn't want to transfer those negative feelings that I was keeping in, and then next thing you know, my son is feeling that way towards me. So one of the things that I had to do was to have overstanding, which is to understand really my father's mind, because that will, once you understand a person's mind, then that gives you greater understanding on their behaviors and what they do. And really, once you know a person's mind, you don't even got to consider what they would do, because their mind will tell you what they would do, because everybody has a mental rolodex of experiences of what they personally experienced, of what they've witnessed other people experience, or what they've just witnessed on TV, what they've absorbed through their senses, because that's how we all take in information. And what we do is largely based on that mental rolodex of experience. And more importantly, somebody can't do something that's not in that mental rolodex of experience. So what was in my father's mental rolodex of experience was how his father interacted with him, which was he never interacted with him. He never was around, never supported, never did anything, never provided financial support. So my father's greatest struggle growing up was seeing my grandmother struggle financially. So with him taking care of that for me, which is, you know what I'm saying, we never really was getting threatened with evictions. I was never really, you know what I'm saying, wearing like holy clothes or just messed up things or any of that. Like, you know what I'm saying, growing up, my dad, for the most part, really made sure, like, clothes wise, I was cool. So in his mind, he's like, yo, you know what I'm saying, I was a great dad. And I can't really fault him because, again, based on his mental Rolodex of experience compared to what his father was, he was an amazing dad. I mean, even still beyond that, I feel like the more I learned about my father, the older I've gotten, the more proud I am to have him as my father, and the more proud I am of his actual character. Because again, going back to the memory illusion, how most of the things that we have stored up in our mind aren't necessarily accurate. I had a lot of things stored up in my father that just wasn't accurate. And as I started going through this healing process and then trying to just forgive my father, I realized that I had to actually ask my father for forgiveness, because I was holding on to so many negative things that wasn't really happening. And the older I get as a man, the more I can understand my father as a man, which gives me um, a greater allowance to actually forgive. So that is some of the work that I do in regards to helping men damage relationships with their fathers, because I do feel like in order for men to be strong again, we do have to get to the issue of that resentment that many of us have towards our fathers. And I feel like that is very, very important. And I think that that is also tied to the anger issues, because most of the time when it comes to boys, the anger issues that they have is a result of absent father or trouble in the home. And behavior issues really manifest, or emotional issues really manifest as behavior issues. And they want to just look at the behavior, not necessarily look at the emotion that's driving the behavior. And so a lot of times when a kid is just angry, it is because a father isn't home, or because they aren't feeling love because something is going wrong at home. So when we can actually heal these damaged relationships with our fathers, then it can put us in a greater situation not to recreate that going down the line. So we're not just perpetuating a generational curse of just explosive anger or just anger issues. So we got to learn how to actually process our emotion, because sadness, when it is crystallized, turns into anger. When sadness continues to be unresolved, it will turn into anger. And then that anger will just manifest itself as, oh, this person's hot tempered, or oh, we can't be around this person, or oh, this person's always going to snap. In actuality, this person's just really just hurting and just need to learn how to deal with something, because they're just sad and they don't know how to process the sadness. So the strategy that they've used to help them throughout life is just to explode. And for them, explosion works. So we just had to learn how to actually go about just processing the emotion so we can get it out of our mind and it's not amplifying the negative emotions that we're feeling throughout the day. So we just want to make sure that we learn healthy strategies on coping with emotions, not that we are trying to distract ourselves, not that we are trying to escape from certain situations or project our emotions on to other people, or do drugs to make ourselves numb, acting like we're not feeling whatever the circumstances is. We just want to learn healthy ways of actually coping from certain situations. Once we learn how to once we learn how to healthily cope from certain situations, then we will find our true strength. A lot of men don't really like this type of work because they don't like the feeling of being vulnerable, because they feel it makes them weak. However, through our vulnerability, we find our true strength. So, if you're a man and you are having issues with your anger, your ego, or your pride, if you're having unresolved resentment or confusion or anger towards your father, definitely reach out to me. Let's schedule a one-on-one call so we can try to figure out how to get to the bottom of that, so we can change the trajectory, because trajectory is really the most important thing. And the direction that you're headed in life ultimately is more important than where you're at currently. So just always keep that in mind. And you know, say if you want to have a better trajectory, then you got to have a better direction. And in order to have a better direction, you got to get your mind, your heart, your emotions, and everything right. So I hope everybody has a prosperous day. Continue to heal. Definitely click that link for your free consultation if you're trying to get enrolled in coaching. Hey, and let's get to it, man. Let's solve it. Have a blessed day. Peace.